So these are the ingredients for our supplemented sawdust blocks. You see here I have Somerset brand wood pellet fuel for pellet stoves. It's really the only source of sawdust in my area. You see here it's pelletized, coarse sawdust. If I haven't mentioned before, you want to make sure that you use a coarse sawdust from a sawmill and not fine sawdust from cabinet makers and the like, because the fine sawdust will compact too hard and the mushroom will not have a good path to grow through it all. It'll end up getting uncolonized on the bottom or in parts. See here too, I have pelletized alfalfa. It's a nice green color. You want to make sure that if you buy pelletized alfalfa though, that it's not dark in color and it doesn't have a burnt smell to it. That's a sign that they've pressurized it too much through the pelletization machine. And you probably don't get as good of quality of nutrition from it. I was using the cubed alfalfa, which is a bit more problematic because it takes a long time for the hard compressed cubes to absorb the water, even if it's hot water, and expand. But I recommend the Stand Lee brand of alfalfa. It's always been a good color and never burnt, so look for that at your Tractor Supply or wherever else you could get it. Here too I have Cottonseed Meal, which I've special ordered from my granary. It's just ground up cottonseed. And I was using wheat brand and have switched to this because Cottonseed Meal has a protein content of about 40%, which is great because that same high protein is going to make its way into the mushrooms that we grow off of it. And higher amount of protein usually means that you're going to have a more meaty texture and a more meaty flavor to the mushroom you produce. So it'll be superior to any mushrooms you grew on straw or cottonseed hulls. I've noticed that the mushrooms coming off of these blocks are definitely much denser and stout, and my chefs have already told me that they last longer in storage too, so that's a really good thing. But I had to special order this for about, I think it was $15 a bag. This is the same old plaster of Paris that we were using for the cottonseed logs, or cottonseed hull logs. And it just adds, again, a little bit of supplementation and probably helps everything to bind together a little bit better. Also, too, we have our secret ingredient, as always, is coffee. I'm just going to use some coffee grinds. And this is just a Kroger generic brand. You don't have to use anything fancy. Don't get any dark roast or any coffee that's been roasted more. It probably takes out some of the nutrition. So we're going to add that to the recipe as well. Going to put all this into the same cement mixer that we used to mix up the cottonseed hulls and grain. We're also going to add not really hot water, but hot water to it all, so it soaks up the water well and breaks up all the pelleted material. So let's take a look at the cement mixer and watch it all get mixed up. So here's our cement mixer set up. You see I have some of these mixing trays for cement, a couple milk crates for it to sit on. The idea being that you don't lose so much sawdust when you're dumping it down and into the bucket there. You see that the inside of this still has some sawdust and stuff in it. But what I do, as long as you're good about getting as much as you can out and then just letting the rest dry, it won't cause a problem. If you do find that you got a little bit of mold growing on it, scrape it out again, and maybe like put a fan, hang a fan or blow some air in there so it dries out in between work, and just try to get as much as you can behind these fins and whatnot. But as long as it's dry, it's not going to cause any problems. See here, I got a wooden cross that I cut from some 1x1, and that's going to throw in there. I'm going to throw it in there with the mixed sawdust and water and all that, and that'll kind of go to the front of the mixer, bust everything up, and help mix it where all the pellets are rolling to the front, and they'll tend to turn into like little balls. It looks like deer poop. They don't have something there to bust it up some. Also, too, you have a trowel to scrape the material from behind the fins and whatnot. So use that. But using the cement mixer is way faster than trying to use like a large spoon or something and mixing it by hand. So again, if you have that option, I'd highly recommend using it. Here you can see the mixture getting churned up. The piece of 1x1 that's cut into a cross is breaking up everything in the front. You can see here the mixture after it's been mixed. If you squeeze it, you notice that water comes out, which is what you want. And that's all right if you have some water pulled up, just a little bit. You can continually mix it in and keep it even. But if you have a whole lot of water pulled up, you want to add less or get it mixed up better. Also, too, I have one of these 1-gallon pitchers, and you can fit an entire 6 pounds of the mix into the pitcher at once. Put the bag over it, flip it over, and fill the bag. So I'm always changing things down here and experimenting at the moment. You can see here some of these king oyster sawdust blocks where I've cut the 3 triangle holes. They did all right, but I still think the best way is going to be these style of ones where I've cut a larger single flap that opens up towards the top. You can see some mushrooms starting up there and here. Here's one that's farther along, but you can see it's making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mushrooms that maybe like 4 or 5 of them will keep on going, but I won't have any situations where I'm just getting one big honker like that. I did try doing a suggestion of one of you fans of using the arrowhead to punch some holes at the top, but after seeing that most of it was still trying to pin and not getting out of the holes well, I just decided to go ahead and cut the single flap open again. But that was the main problem with the 3 smaller flaps, is that you would still have some mushrooms that would form there, but then they want to grow in the wrong direction in between the plastic. So I think it's just a better situation to give it more freedom in one area. That too will also keep them growing in between my safety strings, and I don't get anything caught up slicing the mushroom as it's coming out. If you're wondering what all this is, these are my piapinos I'm still working on. I've put a casing layer on them, but I'll talk more about that. You know, I'm crossing my fingers. I was only getting about a 1/2 pound to 3/4 pound out of these mushrooms, well, these king oyster sawdust blocks, definitely because I wasn't adding enough water at the start. Plus, all of these are made with wheat bran instead of cottonseed meal, and at about a 20% supplementation rate. The 1/2 pound block is really too low in my opinion, especially too with this method. I've only been able to get 2 flushes out successfully. Maybe more if I use this technique up here where there's less old growth exposed and I can clean it out some more. Because it's really the old mushrooms inside of it that are going bad and starting up the mold. But the first blocks, none of them made it to a 3rd flush, but you know, they had all kinds of trouble off the start anyhow, so Still 2 flushes wasn't too bad. But so far, I'm going to stick to the single flap again. The next blocks that come down here are going to be made better with. They're going to start having the alfalfa and cottonseed hull mixed into them. Plus, I have several blocks that I've actually cased with the same casing mix as the piapinos that are king oysters, because they had the same water content of these blocks, and I want to see if I can get more than a half a pound the first flush by using a casing and kind of recovering some of the water back into the block. Plus, too, I've heard rumors in the forums that people are getting some better results with the king oysters using the casing mix, maybe like another 20% yield increase. So if that's the case, I might just stick with that, because the casing mix really wasn't expensive and wasn't too hard to do. But I'll get more into that as well. All right, we'll take a look at how this is doing farther along, and we'll get some more details about all of this.